Hello, today is April 21st. I am a little behind on getting this video out. I wanted it out on the 19th, but this video was filmed back on April 11th, so it's been a couple days and I really need to get it out. I also want to make a note, this video, I might sound like kind of a bummer and like I am blaming people for the way that I'm feeling, but I want to make it really clear that I'm not, and that what I'm trying to highlight is just the circumstances of being in your late 20s and how friendship is affected by that. I don't blame anyone for like me not having plans as of recently, probably except for myself. So I just want to make that abundantly clear. And I also want to, like, before I get into, the meat of things, let people know that I have been up to friend hangouts and having a lot of fun. I actually had almost a little bit too much fun this past weekend. I was a little tired going into this week, but it was totally worth it, and the weather was beautiful. And when the weather's beautiful, it's a lot easier to get folks hanging out together. So I also wanted to say I don't have any video for this rest of this video. When I was talking about friendship in my late 20s, I was doing it as a voice note. So I'm going to throw in pictures of what I've been observing and seeing this spring. And then I'll also specifically have a part where I'll have lots of photos from a trip I took out to Port Townsend with some friends. So you'll probably be able to see when that portion of the video starts. But just know that there's just going to be a bunch of photos thrown in otherwise. So enjoy. Hello. Sorry if I'm talking a little weird. I have a face mask on and it's a little bit hard to move my mouth. But today is Saturday, April 11th, I want to say. I could have that number of the day wrong, but it's a Saturday. It's April. And it's late. I'm doing this face mask because I'm getting ready for bed, which actually feels really good. I was like kind of amped this evening, just running errands and doing stuff. And I'm realizing now I probably should have tried to go to bed a little bit earlier. I'm feeling quite tired, but this is a little impromptu video. I don't know if I'm going to post it, but it's a topic I've been thinking about a lot recently, and it is friendship in your late 20s. For context, for me, I'm approaching the end of my degree, and I've been a bit MIA, I think, from certain folks for a while. And it was one of my fears going back to school that I didn't want people to be like, oh, don't fight her, like, she'll say no to you, just because that's kind of how things have been over the last year. And I certainly haven't said no to everything. I've said yes to a lot of things, but I do feel like I've kind of become the person a little bit who, maybe it's not as easy to hit me up because I've been in school and had busy life things happening. And so, thus, I have been a little lonely the past month, maybe month and a half or so. I think a lot of it had to do with the weather here in the Seattle area. It's been hard to meet up with people, and I feel like by the time end of February, early March rolls around, we're all kind of sick of doing the same indoor activities we've been doing, but also just like everyone's getting sick, and like people, start the week feeling great and then end the week being like, I can't hang, which has happened to me on multiple occasions at this point. And again, it's not like I don't blame people for, like, life happens and you got to be able to work around it. But it's just happened to me kind of just quite a few times recently where it's like, I know the world and my friends don't hate me, but you have those moments where you're like, do people just like not want to hang out with me? And so thus that kind of brought me to thinking about like friendship now versus like when I was in my early 20s versus, when you're younger and stuff. And I really am kind of just chalking this up to the fact that I think everyone is just very busy in life right now. And I feel like life has just kind of been a hard thing to plan as of recently. I don't know if that's just because more people are entering each other's lives, so there are more factors to plan around, or there's just like more things coming up that, make it so plans have to be changed. But yeah, it's just so funny how I was thinking to go back a little bit further, in my early 20s, I was very single. And I remember, everyone kind of in my friend group, with very few exceptions, for the most part, we were all single. So it was very easy to hit one another up and go hang out. And, I was living with a bunch of women roommates at the time. And that was super, like, there was someone there at the drop of a hat because you all lived together. And they had friends of friends, and you had friends of friends. And all of a sudden, I felt like there was just so many ample opportunities for people to be hanging out all the time, and meeting new people. And then, kind of in my mid-20s, I got into my relationship, and I was still living with people, so I didn't feel the effects of what I'm feeling now. And now that I am, both moved in with my partner and going to school and, doing all the other life things, like, it's real. Like, I don't think we're all trying as friends to ignore each other, but just the priorities become there's just so many more as you get older, and it really seemingly doesn't stop. But what I was going to say is, it's just so funny how when I was in my, like, early to mid 20s, I felt like, hanging out with friends was, like, not a hard effort. That was, like, that could happen so quickly. Whereas, like, dating was like, oh my God, I gotta get on the app, and I gotta do this, and I gotta plan that, and I gotta stay engaged with this person. And it was, like, quite the effort to, even though I had a fairly, I had a short stint on the apps before I met my boyfriend, so I'm very thankful for that. I know it could have been a lot harder. And so I imagine for folks who, were in that situation, it's like, yeah, it was a lot of effort, on that front. And now that I'm living with my partner, it's like, me and my partner have a really good balance of, I think, time that we've been spending together, especially through, like, job transitions and stuff in school and all that, for me. And I feel like we've been able to strike a really nice balance with that. And now the issue is trying to freaking see my friends. It's really hard to get people, on the calendar and to stick there. And I would not say I have, like, flaky friends. I think I have some really, lovely people whom I feel the friendship is reciprocal. I just think we are just in this season of life of, everyone's really busy, and people are tired a lot of the time too. I think a lot of folks are kind of, like, really grinding in their careers right now too. So it's like, you come home and you're tired on the weekend, and sometimes you just don't have the energy to see through plans that you thought you could earlier in the week. So with all of this, it's like, okay, then who's to blame? Or where do I go from here? Because honestly, maybe there really isn't anyone to blame. I would blame myself, except for the fact that I am an aggressive, maybe to a fault, planner. So I for sure am reaching out to people. So it is not a shortcoming on my terms, or for me, whatever. And so I'm like, what do I do? Especially once I get out of school, because I am prepared to have more time once I am out of school, and I am prepared to want to hang out with my friends. But I'm like, if everyone's busy, and it's not like I'm never seeing my friends. I feel like I'm just seeing folks less frequently than I would like to. Like, I admittedly don't often have time in the work week to see friends, so, like, Monday through Thursday is kind of off the table a lot of the time, unless I'm, like, not going to a dance class that evening, or choosing to not work out, because I usually try to prioritize a workout for me in the evening, because I like working out in the evenings. And so I usually, and yeah, I'm not seeing people during the week, but Friday's usually kind of like date night for my boyfriend and I. And then we've agreed that we want to try to make sure that we have, like, one solid evening together and another solid morning together on the weekends. And then inevitably we end up spending a lot of Sunday together, whether it be like a family dinner or just, like, getting ready for the week. So really what that shakes out to is, like, Saturday night is often, like, a night for friends, which is good. I think it's really good to not be too conjoined at the hip with your partner and, like, have a personal life outside of them. I don't want to be someone who is spending every minute of every day. Well, I take that back. I love my boyfriend and would love to spend every minute of every day with him. But, like, for one's mental health and sense of community, it's good to stay in contact with friends. And so, I've just found myself recently having like made plans or just wasn't able to get a hold of anybody, and I am finding myself having more solo weekend nights than I think I would like at this point in my life. So from here, it's like, okay, I'm in this stage in my life in my late 20s, and I'm about to get hopefully some more time back, and I want to spend that doing things that are not work related. And I'd ideally like to see my friends, but I don't know if that's already always going to pan out. So my thoughts are the moment, or my thoughts at the moment are, one is I want to lean more into kind of the hobbies that I have going on already. There's definitely community already for those hobbies for me, and I think I've always just been a little bit like one foot in, one foot out with like school and work. And once school's off the table, I think I might be able to really kind of put my full self into that, and be more social. Like, I'm someone, when I get to class, I don't always like talk to the people around me, and I really should, because I see these people all the time, and it would be nice to have more of a like, is it rapport? I'm thinking of, having more of a sense of community with them. I can't think of the word, but so that's something that I want to do. I'm also like contemplating getting some sort of part-time job once I graduate, in addition to my full-time job, something that I could do on the weekends that would help me reach some more financial goals that I have. So I hate the solution of just like get another job to fill your time, because that sounds really sad. But there is actual like strong monetary motivation on that one, and it's not something I would ever do like permanently. I would hope to like do something like for a couple months and then stop, and then pick it up for a couple months and then stop. So I don't know what that is. And I would have to be able to work around like a regular work week. So it would certainly not be during like a 9 to 5. But yeah, so there's that. And that would, that doesn't necessarily help like not the friend situation, but it does kind of help potentially not feeling like I've, been canceled on, because like, a job is a job, which I just go so back and forth with that. But that's been also kind of stewing underneath the surface for me. But then the third, I think, is just like actually trying to find maybe some other group or thing. And I don't necessarily want it to be like such a physical activity, like more workout classes and dance classes are great. But I kind of feel like I'm on the hunt. That sounds kind of aggressive, but I am shopping for a new hobby that is maybe like a board game group or a book group or something like that, that's a bit more just like it is about the socializing. And so it is my mission a little bit, I think, this summer to start investing and looking into some of that. And like, flexing the muscle of making friends as an adult. Because I will say, I'm fortunate in that I think I have a lot of close friends for the most part. Like, I think they say lots of, or not lots of, but like more than half of you as adults have like 1 to 4 close friends. I would maybe say I'm around there or a little bit more. I think it depends on how you define close to be. Um, but I don't think I have like a lack of friends and people I can reach out to. It's just the other thing that's happening in my late 20s and might be happening to you is that people are going through the great migration again, and everyone leaves college initially. People move all over the country and potentially the world to find their place that they're going to kind of build their career in. And now that people are getting engaged and married and getting into longer term relationships, or other, it doesn't have to be relationship based, but maybe some other significant life thing happened. Maybe they've been in a job for a number of years and have finally decided to move and do some sort of career change or go back to school or something. And so people are moving all over the country. And yeah, it's like, gosh, I know I have friends, they're just not here. And so it's kind of like I'm feeling, I guess what I'm feeling is that I just feel like I need more people close by. Because I just know that more people are leaving over the next year, and so I'm already kind of like, oh God, I'm trying to, spend as much time with them as I can while I can, knowing that they will also be gone soon. So, oh, it is just Yeah, another series or season, I should say, of people moving all around. And I imagine that probably happens for, I don't know, maybe between like now and mid 30s when people finally decide to have kids and settle down. But yeah, everybody's moving around, and my friends are all over the country. So I guess in addition to trying to like make more friends locally, it is also on me, I think, a little bit. And this is hard because this is starts to kind of get into the topic of like how do you maintain friendship when you make X amount of money and the other person makes X amount, and expectations for travel and time spent together are different. But I kind of feel like if I want to, maintain some of these relationships as an adult, um, it is my duty to maybe go and visit some of these people, which, to make a very long story short, I was supposed to go visit people this May on the East Coast, a bunch of folks actually. And then I had like a car mechanic thing happen, and I ended up having to pay an arm and a limb for that. And I was like, well, no more trip to the East Coast for me right now. So it might happen in the fall when the budget is a bit more replenished. I don't know why I said it like that the first time. And I will connect with people who I haven't seen in a while. But so it hurts a little bit extra these days, the like being bailed on and stuff, because I am no longer going on that trip where I was gonna be catching up with other friends. So I know I'm making the financially sound decision right now by like not going on this trip, but yeah, it doesn't help the loneliness situation. So, but anywho, I think I got a little bit sidetracked. I do think it is something that I want to do, maybe not this year, but the following year, is try to really make it out to these other parts of the country, which some of them I have not seen, and not only visit somewhere new, but visit an old friend. So, yeah, it's just hard. And if you are working full time and you have other things going on, keeping up with friends is tricky. I'm trying to think if I have any more to say on that topic. I don't think I do. It's just something I've been really chewing on. It's something I talked about in my most recent therapy appointment. And, my therapist posed the question of like, so what are you going to do about this situation that you're in? And I'm like, well, I'm going to do this, this, and this thing. And now it's kind of up to me to just do it. So maybe I'll report on that later in the year. I don't have any like super mapped out firm plans for creating friends, which I also don't believe you can do, via a planner. But I don't know. I just like getting stuff on the calendar. So maybe if I find events that feel more successful or ways of reconnecting with old friends or peers that feels more regular and able to be done at a certain frequency, maybe I will share that. But if you are spending your weekend night alone because of bailed on plans, or you couldn't get anybody to hang, I feel you. It kind of sucks, and it makes you sometimes, if it happens too often, it makes you question. I'm like, is it me? And hopefully, it's not you. Hopefully, it's just kind of circumstance. But yeah, especially for those who are in maybe a similar season of life. I wish you luck in reintegrating yourself into your social group that maybe you've been a little MIA from for whatever reason. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.